Guys, things are actually getting even crazier. Yesterday, hopefully you saw that video, we were talking about the situation with Venti's VA Erica and how she has been participating in the strike against Hoyoverse and that Venti won't be voiced by her in 5.6, but she is trying to come back for 5.7. So in other words, despite Erica having participated in the strike against Hoyoverse, it looks like she's now trying to break away from it, to which she has also told us that she's getting these threatening letters from SAG. Now, it looked like Karina, the VA for Paimon, had essentially responded to this, retweeting a bunch of stuff or reposting a bunch of stuff on her Blue Sky account from other VAs like Kyle McCarley, who is the VA for Mob in Mob Psycho. And these remarks from like Kyle and Karina are essentially insulting Erica, to put it lightly. But for all that context, please consider watching yesterday's video. And in this video, we've got to actually take a look at Karina herself making statements towards Erica. And it's like, Karina's going like full aggro mode, dude. Karina, yesterday we were speculating, like, it wasn't really speculation. It was a pretty reasonable conclusion, but you were saying, like, it really looks like Karina's mad at Erica. But yeah, based off what we're going to take a look at now in this video and new statements that Karina has made going after Erica, it looks like Karina is extremely mad. Oh, and apparently some of these people on Blue Sky are mad at me too. They're angry at me for making videos like this, talking about the stuff that they're doing. So that's just a little icing on the cake. That takes us to this post on our Genshin Impact from 4 hours ago that reads, Karina says Erica is an adult and essentially should have known better. She should have known better. Okay, Karina, let's see what Karina says. I urge you to go find the tweets that Kyle McCarley actually laid out what is exactly in those letters. I personally wouldn't call them threatening myself, but that's my opinion. But everyone knows that if you work non-union work in our union, not Ficor, the union could find out. All unions have union rules. Calling something threatening when she is an adult that read the rules like everyone else, she didn't go Ficor, and she still borked these rules, guys. I wouldn't call that threatening. I am Ficor, have been for a long time. I followed SAG rules, so no, I didn't get a letter. It's not a special exception. This is very clearly stated in SAG rules. So yeah, the messages that Karina is likely referring to from Kyle McCarley are these messages that she was also reposting all over her own Blue Sky account. And I find it very interesting that Karina and Kyle McCarley seem to know what Erica got in those letters, despite Erica not actually posting the letters. I don't believe at least she ever posted letters publicly unless I missed it, which I'm pretty sure I didn't, because they would be all over the Genshin Impact subreddit and people would be tagging me to all that stuff and whatnot. So highly unlikely that she did post that stuff. But the point is, they're making so many assumptions here. For example, Kyle McCarley saying, SAG-AFTRA staff has jurisdiction to contact members about violations of Global Rule 1, which could result in censures, fines, suspension, membership, ban from the union, etc., etc. So making the assumption that she's getting threatening letters from SAG about breaking Global Rule 1. Or they're not making assumptions and they actually know what's in those letters. Which, if they actually know what's in the letters that Erica got, would be extremely suspicious and make it look like they might have some involvement in what's going on behind the scenes to go after some of these VAs who are going against the strike and going against the union. But again, I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm simply trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Now let's return to Reddit and take a look at some of the top responses, and then we've got more stuff from Karina to go over. This top response reading, why does Karina keep moving the goalposts? First time it was about AI protection. Second time it was about wanting Genshin to go union because some VA are union. Third time it was about supporting the union VA strike. Fourth time, bullies a non-union, non-USA VA, even though he isn't even joining the strike and not even in the US. Fifth time, she said it wasn't actually a strike, and she totally agrees that it was just a work refusal. Sixth time, it was about VA should follow global rule number 1, and everyone should respect the strike. Again, agrees it was a work refusal. That's a consistent thing with all of these VAs who are a part of the strike. They're inconsistent. A lot of them have made very hypocritical statements. A lot of them can't get their story straight. But to be fair, yeah, Karina does seem like probably the most exceptional of all of them. We'll take a look at 2 more top comments here. How quickly she went from respect the VAs to VAs that should respect SAG's rules. Actually, this response will read too. It says, it's not respect the VAs, it's respect the VAs in my clique. The clause is important, yeah. Clique of a bunch of toxic weirdos. Okay, now 2 more actually. It's only respect the VAs they like who deserve the respect. Only them and their friends get a pass. Everyone else can kick rocks, it seems. They'll lead the mob even, so long as everyone defends poor little old them and their buddies. Only the Karina Club matters. And then this one says, can whoever advised Kaching's VA to stop talking about this advise her to be quiet now too? Well, yeah, so this is also really funny because Karina has seemingly made it her whole thing to bootlick for SAG. But at the same time, as we see here, she talks about being Ficor. But over on sagaftra.com, they have a whole page dedicated to talking about why people should not be Ficor, including extremely pompous stuff like this. I do not want to contribute to the race to the bottom in wages and working conditions. I want to stand up to corporate greed. Oh yeah, just bootlick for SAG's greed, that's all. You change out one corrupt thing for the other. And then, by the way, in a lot of these cases, people now have to deal with a corrupt corporation still, and a corrupt union, that being SAG-AFTRA, on top of it. So congratulations, you got 2 for 1. The bottom line will be driven down for actors and our agents if advisors feel they can hire talent for less. And we'll read this one too. I'm not willing to put myself on sale and jeopardize my safety and well-being on a non-union set. Put yourself on sale, huh? And lastly, we'll take a look at this section where they say, Financial Core/FICOR/FPNM are viewed as scabs or anti-union by SAG-AFTRA members, directors, and writers, most of whom also belong to entertainment unions. So Karina, the union that you keep bootlicking for, well, they view you as a scab who's putting yourself on sale and racing to the bottom. Then there's this whole thing that they call Union Myth 1. On this page, they talk about why union actors are better actors than those lowly non-union people. This is something we've talked about plenty of times in prior videos. But you know what, guys? I'm really starting to wonder here. We all know how toxic and corrupt SAG seems to be. But even for them, maybe they take a look at Karina and they think, yeah, normally we want everyone to join SAG. But for her, yeah, she can stay Ficor. She can stay out. We don't want her. Keep her away. And meanwhile, we got Karina acting like SAG is the greatest thing ever. 7 minutes ago, things got even more complicated because this post just came in that reads, Erica said that Ficor members are also being targeted by SAG-AFTRA, despite following their strike rules. Oh boy. Considering it's specifically about Ficor, it feels like it's more than just Global Rule 1. Are you telling me the speculation those VAs were posting on Blue Sky that they were presenting as fact was in fact speculation and might be incorrect? Oh my gosh. This response saying, just go Ficor, bro. Erica saying, the letters are being sent to Ficor actors along with full union members, so... And then this one that says, yikes. So on what basis are they sending the letters? I'd somewhat understand if it's for breaking Global Rule 1, but even the Ficor? On what grounds would they do that? This whole situation is just weird. Erica responds, saying, honestly, I don't know. It's crazy, too, because everyone, I think, getting letters also has followed all strike rules, even the suggested ones. So, is the implication there that the letters are, though, in fact, about breaking rules, just not Global Rule 1? Let's read that part one more time. It says, it's crazy, too, because everyone, I think, getting letters also has followed all strike rules, even the suggested ones. So yeah, based off that, it does sound like SAG is saying that people are breaking rules in these letters. That is still, of course, just speculation. It would be really nice if someone were to post one of these letters, then we could really see for sure. But yeah, things continue to get more interesting, it seems. This whole thing, though, just makes me even more in like disbelief because it all seems so unnecessary, doesn't it? None of this had to happen. People didn't need to hold this like unofficial strike against Hoyoverse. They could have just all kept voicing their characters, but no, had to go try and get more out of the bag. Wasn't good enough. And let's lie to the public and say it's all about AI protections too. Surely that's going to go well, right? And as many people have pointed out, for the first few months or so, a lot of people in the fandom were supporting these VAs. But as people looked into stuff more and more, as you know, more questions came up. They began to get more and more toxic and mad. Thankfully, Erica's not one of them who was really toxic and mad. It's just too bad that she's a part of it. But you know what I mean. Like VAs like Kaylee, Karina, Cher Kirby, the Valeria person, etc., etc. But yeah, didn't have to happen. Didn't have to be this way. But this is the path that they chose, and now here we are. Here's what I think might be happening. It's an unofficial strike, as Joe Z just said, a collective work refusal. It's not a part of the main video game strike that is officially going on with SAG against a number of companies. But the reason why we saw SAG getting involved, for example, the tweet that they made at Hoyoverse and retweeting Anaris, trying to get Hoyoverse to sign this agreement, is because a number of these VAs in SAG may have gotten SAG to at least try and be like the mediator, be like the middle party, to at least like forward the agreement to Hoyoverse to try to get them to sign the agreement to facilitate the transaction, so to speak. while their collective work refusal is still not like an officially sanctioned strike. Perhaps that's kind of what's going on. And now maybe SAG is upset with these VAs because they could be concerned that all of this bad publicity from this specific collective work refusal may end up negatively impacting their official strike. They're worried about the fallout that's going on from this hurting their official strike, especially because there have been comments from SAG, including comments made from their executives at convention panels. They rely on the public supporting them, supporting the official strike, and helping them pressure companies. So yeah, if they think this Hoyover situation is now crossing over to their official strike and costing them support for that too, they're definitely not going to be happy. That is my theory, at least based off the information that I currently have. Of course, maybe my opinion will change, but right now I think that's pretty much what I'm thinking is going on. The big question now, though, is what exactly is up with these threatening letters? It sounds like we may be able to presume that SAG is accusing people of breaking rules, including Ficor people. But, of course, we don't know for sure unless someone happens to post them. And Karina was not done there. In response to Erica saying, "Bruh, I'm trying to come back. SAG's been sending threatening letters to us. It's been very complicated. I'm coming back soon. If it had been my choice, I would have been voicing the whole time." Karina had this to say. Erica is not Ficor. She technically shouldn't have been working on Genshin at all. Isn't that what a lot of you have been saying? Like Joe said, when an actor works off the card, they are taking the risk. She knew the risks. She took it. Some of the top comments about this over on Reddit read, "Did they turn on Erica? Dang, my impression of them has been hitting rock bottom for a while, but now it is straight up penetrating through the bedrock to go even lower. How much more terrible can they be?" And this response reading, "It's crazy. Back then, these people are making IRL content, hanging out, and now they're all talking terrible about each other behind their backs. Crazy world we live in." Yeah, that's just how the VA industry is. Anyone who saw the whole VIX situation in 2019 definitely can attest to that. That was a huge point of contention back then. Just to specify that more, when I say VA industry, I'm specifically talking about some of the stuff that goes on here with these clicks in the US with these English dub voice actors. Karina is even getting called out all over Blue Sky. So we're back at this post that we just read from Karina, and these are some of the responses right at the top. "Justifying SAG threatening your coworkers now, are we? Almost like we were right all along, and this was never about protecting the rights of VAs. Your behavior is repulsive. I hope you can one day look in the mirror and feel shame, but I feel you are too narcissistic to gain self-awareness." And this is why so many companies, gaming and animation alike, have you by now on their blacklist. No one wants to work with a scab who has no empathy. Pray Hoyo keeps you, because it'll be your last acting job and pay for that 50 quid. You're a psychopath. Do you have an ounce of empathy for others, or is it strictly reserved for yourself? Get off the internet. You're embarrassing. We got Pomeranian of Doom. This is one of Karina's favorite people. Let's see what they say, probably defending her. "Why do so many fans automatically interpret Karina's comments with hostility?" Well, yeah, I wonder why. Overtly hostile comments. Why are people interpreting this like they're hostile? They're just stating the factual nature of the situation. SAG-AFTRA is likely cracking down on members under Hoyoverse contracts because the situation has escalated, as Hoyoverse is not replacing VAs. Because she has been a scumbag since she called Jacob a scab, while being a scab herself since ages. Because she insulted players and other VAs who disagree with her. Because she lied about money and other things countless of times. Pick the one you prefer. And yeah, it's only a few things. There's a much longer list than that. Here's Pomeranian of Doom's response. "Jacob is objectively a strikebreaker, scab, or whichever terminology one prefers to use. Whether he intends to be or not, that is the role he has served with this context. Furthermore, Karina themselves has not denied that they are serving as one themselves. However, even if we were to grant that they have made inappropriate comments online before, I'm unfamiliar with the matter, frankly." That's what you're going to go with. You're unfamiliar with the matter when you're constantly responding to everything Karina says on Blue Sky, and you can very clearly see that stuff for yourself. But hey, sure, okay, right. Not familiar with it. This does not therefore mean that every comment that they make is with hostility. You are priming yourself to interpret Karina's comments with hostility because you have already built a mental profile of who you believe that they are, but outside of how you like their tone or whether they have made mean comments or not. Do you know what actual principles they stand for? So first of all, this is actually a false premise here. No one said that every single comment Karina makes is with hostility. They're simply saying that the openly hostile comments are indeed hostile, which they are. Pomeranian of Doom continues. "Let me ask you a quick question. I want to paint a rather insightful dichotomy for you. Who is the better person? Someone who is polite and uncontroversial but otherwise apathetic towards injustice, or someone who is rude but has an intrinsic desire for the betterment of humanity? So self-righteous, dude. If you believe Karina to be rude, then maybe I can offer some insight as to one potential reason why. Karina has been harassed, mobbed, and insulted in numbers by fans. On top of this, they had to watch as injustice after injustice plagues this country, while most people watch in apathy, or in many cases, as people cheer on its impending destruction. What the frick kind of terminally online brain rot are you posting right now, dude? We're here talking about this VA situation. You start going off about the whole country. Like, you can't even have a discussion without getting all crazy. Seriously? This is the same person, by the way, who accused every single one of us of being alt-right for criticizing SAG. Not surprising at all that they're making some unhinged rant right here and can't even focus on the main topic at hand. And trust me, this is an anger that I have felt far too much myself. Oh, I believe it. Yeah, you seem like a very angry, like very weird, angry person. However, I have the fortunate blessing of not being reviled by a mob over a petty drama on the internet, and it has been hard for me. Then I can only imagine that it has been hard for them too. Dude, go outside. What the frick? I'm sorry, Karina, but this is unacceptable. I gave you the benefit of the doubt because I felt sorry for your situation, but saying that Erica brought this on herself is despicable. She shouldn't be getting threatening letters from an organization that's supposed to protect her rights. She literally agreed to follow the rules. The threatening letters are just enforcing those rules. She chose to break the rules knowing she agreed to follow them. At any point, she can go Ficor if she doesn't like the rules. She is not being held hostage. This is entirely her choice. And where's your proof that she broke rules? She hasn't been voicing Venti and Genjin, so that can't be it. Here you go. And links to that post from the Mob VA Kyle McCarley that we talked about briefly in this video and more extensively talked about yesterday. And there's no evidence in that post. The dude is just speculating. I love how often you see this on the internet, usually on like Twitter, Reddit, and apparently also Blue Sky, where someone will ask for evidence of something. And the other person responds by linking to a post that's just text with no evidence and is also probably just an opinion. We'll take a look at a few more responses to Karina here. This is funny, coming from the same person who had an 8-minute long rant about why SAG was the only good option. This clearly shows how scummy SAG-AFTRA is, and that's suddenly okay? Talk about lack of empathy. Not to mention, a lot of indie companies who did not want to sign the interim got blacklisted by SAG. They even had anti-AI clauses. And before I forget, why are you still voicing Paimon if you're so pro-SAG then? Shouldn't you be standing in solidarity with your peers? Don't be a hypocrite either. Yeah. That person already knows. The heck is wrong with you? Coward. You run the Blue Sky because you got exposed on Twitter? Have some empathy and be quiet. What happened on Twitter? From what I've heard, she just keeps getting community noted and called out, so she moved over here. Taking a brief look over on Karina's Blue Sky profile to see if Karina's made any additional statements on any of this stuff. It doesn't seem like there is. Just returning to reposting people like Little Kribo and Kyle McCarley. Oh, but look at this. Karina's reposting Kaiser Neko, and Kaiser Neko seems to be upset with Erica. We click this. This is once again a post about Erica, as we can see here. All the Kyle stuff we read yesterday, and then scrolling back to this post from Kaiser Neko. Let's read these though from Sonic Joshua. Haven't seen these yet. So get in the context. Sonic Joshua says, wait a sec. If Erica is getting a violation email, that means she was union and no one knew till you just said so. Those emails could have had any context, but to be blunt for how it's been said, the usually handling of union members are kept private. This seems pretty open. All that to say, why snitch on her? To get heat off you? Because that's again showing selective punishment. Why no public lambasting to other such rule breakers to keep consistent? No, this doesn't make her breaking Global Rule 1 correct still, but just why? And Kaiser Neko says, she, Erica, publicly talked about it. And she did so vaguely while throwing the union under the bus. So now other people have to clarify. This is why she shouldn't have talked about it publicly. From what I've read from screenshots from this recent case, there was no direct mention of her being union, only talks of her talking with SAG. Now, if she did bring it up earlier and I was unaware, that's different and I apologize. People already knew she was union. This wasn't a new thing. 2, she never would have gotten those letters if she wasn't union. Well, apparently people who are Ficor are getting these letters too. Again, I wasn't aware. And said if I missed something, let me know. Apologies, it took me 2 messages to understand. I can take an L on that one. I gotcha. Also, think about this another way. If nobody knew she was union and she started talking about those letters publicly, then that comes off as the union sending a non-union person threatening letters, and that's a whole new level of misinformation. Well, once again, we're now being told that Ficor people are apparently also getting these letters, so what's going on? Though I have to ask, If it was true, people knew that she was union, and this was public info, then why only now is she seemingly getting punished for breaking Global Rule 1? Wouldn't she have had to be punished all 4 years she's been working? Or is there something I'm missing here? If you read Kyle's thread, it's not likely she's being punished. It's because of multiple circumstances, not the least of which involving the union-sanctioned strike happening right now, that they're pulling rank. Unions are patient with members dipping into non-union work, but there is a line. Oh, but sometimes when it's convenient for them, they encourage people to go work non-union so they can try and flip that whole project to become union. So many hypocrisies going on with this union, man. And then we've once again got little Kribo. He says, the letters are not a threat of punishment. They are sent out as a standard procedure when SAG receives a report. That report can be provided by anyone. The letter asks the actor for clarification. SAG has sent those out to anyone who gets reported. It is not targeted by SAG. It's also not a threat. So if that's true, which again, it seems to be more guessing games about what the letters are, but if that's true, it does sound like someone snitched. Here's what it sounds like. It sounds like a group of VAs in the clique at SAG are upset at Erica for trying to leave the strike. Maybe she's even trying to leave SAG, who knows? But we at the very least, we know she is trying to get away from the strike, it sounds like. And they're unhappy with that. So they report her to SAG, report her to the higher-ups, whatever division is responsible for this stuff over in the union, that she's been working on Genshin and all this stuff, and she's breaking Global Rule 1. Now, it seems highly unlikely to me that SAG didn't know that she's been working on Genshin this whole time for years and years and years. So it seems like they would only really care if some of the other members, maybe certain members that have, what's it called, like picking favorites sort of thing. If certain members begin reporting someone, maybe that's when they potentially take action. My point is all of this seems extremely corrupt and very suspicious. Okay, and here's the bonus comedy at the end of the video. If you made it to the end, thank you. And I hope you get a laugh from this. So Karina reposts Rick. And Rick is someone we talked about briefly in a video from the other day because he made this whole long post about people need to rebel against Hoyoverse. We need to uninstall the games, the Hoyoverse games, and we need to hold this rebellion. And it was freaking hilarious. And so Rick says this and gets reposted by Karina. So today I uninstalled Genshin, finally got fed with Hoyo dragging their feet, not doing a dang thing to help the cast. Their latest batch of, due to scheduling conflicts, quote unquote, of JP trailers on their EN account was the last straw. Then I got an extra 100 gigabytes off my SSD and a slew of hate from a VTuber. Bro. I didn't call anyone in particular out either. I just made an angry post about the fans harassing the cast, and then suddenly the Fire Nation attacked. Wild times we live in. But wait, there's more. Karina also reposted Rick here, where he said, I was also in a similarly toxic vid. Not sure if the same one. Purely because I got fed up with the game as Hoyo kept doing the same due to scheduling conflicts cop-out in their new trailer, and I uninstalled. Might have made the mistake of making a big post about it on Twitter/YouTube, but I stand by what I said. So if by any chance Rick is watching this video, it's nothing personal, bro. You got to understand the whole thing about like saying that you want to hold this rebellion against Hoyoverse. Like people need to rebel against Hoyoverse and uninstall their games. That was just hilarious. Like, come on, bro. You got to see that that was pretty funny. Like a rebellion, really. And yeah, uninstall their games if you want. No one has to play Hoyoverse games. I don't care about that. It was just a rebellion thing. That part was funny. But wait, there's still more because he was responding to Kaiser Neko, who said, oh, someone made a video trashing on the union and the striking actors and highlighted me and Martin in it. That's why I've been getting weirdos with new accounts randomly being terrible to me. Cool. I mean, dude, I get negative comments on my videos all the time. All of us get negative comments. It's just part of being on the internet. You know, people are going to talk about the stuff you put out there on the internet. It is what it is. And like Kaiser Neko has been on the public, like been in the public space on the internet way longer than I have. So I'm sure he knows better about that than I do even. You know what? We actually have a little bit more to talk about here. I thought I was going to end the video at that point, but I just saw this from Little Kribo. It says, I'm friends with Erica, so I do not want to diminish her experience, but this is the letter. It is quoted here. If you find this threatening, I would genuinely like to hear which part. Linking back to Kyle McCarley. Kaiser Neko here said, quite frankly, she should not have been public about it. Even if that is the case, it's hugely irresponsible and unprofessional. So Kyle McCarley, VA for Mob, actually said more than I realized. My bad about that. He also said this. Several actors reached out to me after receiving a letter about past Global Rule 1 violations about a month ago. To my knowledge, none of them worked on Genshin. One showed me a screenshot of their letter. In the interest of protecting the actor's identity, I won't share the screenshot, but I'll quote from it. So we'll take a look at what this letter allegedly says. But let's also be clear that we don't know for sure if this is the same letter that Erica is talking about. Regardless, let's read this. It appears that by rendering services in redacted, you may be in violation of this rule. If so, you could be subject to reprimand, censure, fine, suspension from the rights of membership for a period of time, or expulsion from SAG-AFTRA after appearing before a disciplinary committee. It is possible the reports that you rendered services in redacted are mistaken. Even if accurate, there may be some mitigating circumstances that have not come to our attention to date. Please detail any such circumstances in your reply. And that's where the quote ends. So that's apparently the whole letter that this guy is talking about. He then goes on to make a bunch of posts about this, but to be quite frank, I don't have the time now. I'm really out of time at this point. So make of all that what you will. As always, thank you for tuning in. My apologies for the somewhat abrupt ending here. But yeah, I'm like barely going to have time to get this video uploaded and all that before I got to run out the door. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for continuing to tune into my coverage. I really hope you enjoyed this segment. If you did, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. I look forward to seeing you in the next one and have a great rest of your weekend.